If you watched the first part of this series, you already know one truth. People don't pull away because they stop caring. They pull away because something inside them wakes up. And now, in this second part, we're going deeper. Much deeper. Because when someone suddenly creates distance, it's not a simple loss of interest. It's not a change of heart. It's not a switch they turn off overnight. What you're witnessing is a nervous system under pressure. Let's break it down. On the outside, everything looks simple. Fewer messages, colder tone, delayed replies, short answers, or overwhelming silence. But these external changes hide an internal storm. Psychology calls it emotional flooding, a state where feelings rise faster than the mind can manage. And here's where it connects to everything we discussed in Part 1. Quiet people, sensitive people, overthinkers, deeply emotional people. They feel connection in a way others don't. More intensely, more personally, more dangerously. So when closeness becomes real, their fears become real too. Their thoughts start racing. What if this ends? What if I say the wrong thing? What if they leave? What if I disappoint them? What if they see the real me? Suddenly, warmth feels threatening. Affection feels risky. Closeness feels like a cliff edge, and their mind reacts the only way it knows how. Distance, space, silence, withdrawal. Not because they want to lose you, but because they don't want to lose themselves. This is the part people misunderstand. Pulling away doesn't mean disconnection. It means overthinking. It means fear rising faster than courage. It means their emotions are too loud to control. It's not rejection, it's regulation. Their brain is saying, slow down. Hold on. Something here feels too powerful. I need to feel safe before I come closer. And most importantly, they didn't shut their feelings off. They hid them, protected them, guarded them. Because people who care deeply often fear deeply too. And that fear, that old, familiar, invisible fear, is what makes someone pull away the moment things start to matter. Welcome to Part 6, the beginning of the truth most people never see. Distance isn't the end. It's the symptom. A sign that something inside them is shaking. If you've made it this far, you already understand the core truth. Distance doesn't mean a lack of emotion. It usually means too much of it. But now we're going one layer deeper. Because when someone pulls away, most people focus on what the person stops doing. They miss what the person continues to do. Quietly, secretly, and consistently. And psychology reveals something surprising. People who pull away still stay connected. Just not openly. Here are the 3 hidden behaviors they never admit, but almost always do. 1. They keep watching you, but silently. They won't message you. They won't reach out first. They might even act cold. But behind the scenes, they're still checking. Your posts, your online status, the tone in your messages, the changes in your energy, whether you've forgotten them, whether you've moved on. They're not observing because they don't care. They're observing because they're afraid to show they do. Their silence is not disinterest. It's surveillance driven by emotion. They distance on the outside while staying attached on the inside. 2. They replay conversations instead of having them. They think more than they speak. A lot more. Their mind becomes a constant loop of what they said, what you said, what they wish they had said, the messages they typed and deleted, the scenarios they overanalyze, the fears they hide, the closeness that scares them. They don't reach out because their brain is too busy managing the emotional consequences of reaching out. Every text feels like a risk. Every reply feels like exposure. Every silence feels safer than vulnerability. 3. They fear closeness and fear losing you at the same time. This is the emotional paradox no one talks about. On one side, I care about you. On the other, caring makes me vulnerable. So they swing between warm, distant, open, closed, present, unavailable. Not because they're manipulating you, but because they're emotionally overloaded. Their nervous system is caught between two fears: the fear of getting hurt and the fear of losing the connection entirely. That's why their behavior looks inconsistent. That's why their energy shifts without warning. That's why they can go from close to cold overnight. Not because their feelings changed, but because their fear got louder. And here's the truth, tying this part back to part 6. Pulling away is rarely a decision. It's a reaction, a reflex, a protective pattern formed long before you arrived. Someone who pulls away doesn't stop caring. They simply don't know how to handle how much they care. One of the most confusing things about people who pull away is that their behavior doesn't stay consistent. One day, they seem warm again, open, curious, present, like they never pushed you away at all. And then the next day, cold, quiet, guarded, almost like they regret letting you close for even a second. To you, it feels like emotional whiplash. To them, it feels like survival. Let's break down the mixed signals they send without realizing it. 1. Come closer. And don't come too close. They crave connection. They don't trust connection. So they do this push and pull dance. They reply fast, then disappear. They're affectionate, then shut down. They open up, then feel exposed and retreat. It's not manipulation. It's an internal conflict between their heart and their fear. Their heart says, I miss you. Their fear says, I'll get hurt. And so their behavior becomes a mirror of both. 2. They reconnect when they feel safe, not when they feel ready. You'll notice something interesting. They reach out at unexpected times, late at night, random moments, suddenly after days of silence. Why? Because safety comes in waves. Something in their life calms down, a thought gives them hope. A memory of you feels warm instead of scary. And suddenly, they're back. Not because they wanted to vanish, but because they finally feel grounded enough to come forward. 3. They distance themselves from the person they care about most. This is the part no one wants to believe. They don't pull away from everyone, just from the people who emotionally matter. Because that's where the risk is. If they didn't care, they'd be casual, relaxed, open. But caring makes them nervous, afraid, hyper-aware. So instead of leaning in, their survival instincts make them pull back. Not because you're the problem, but because you're the trigger for an old fear. 4. They give just enough connection to keep you close, but not enough to feel exposed. A short message here, a reaction to your story, a quick check-in, a moment of softness, just enough to say, I'm still here, but not enough to say, you've reached my vulnerable side. This inconsistency isn't a game. It's emotional management. They're trying to balance two truths. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose myself either. 5. Their behavior is not about control. It's about emotional regulation. People think distance equals punishment, but for these people, distance equals stability. Silence helps them calm their nervous system. Space helps them make sense of their emotions. Pulling back helps them avoid overwhelming feelings. It looks like detachment, but it's actually self-preservation. And here's the core idea that ties this to everything before. Their mixed signals aren't a sign they don't care. They're a sign they're overwhelmed by how much they do. Your presence activates their fear. Your absence activates their longing. And they don't know how to balance either one. So here we are. After everything you've heard, the fears, the defenses, the emotional patterns, there's one final truth you need to understand. When someone pulls away from you, you're not witnessing rejection. You're witnessing a story they lived long before you. A story of people who didn't stay, people who hurt them, people who forgot them, people who made closeness feel dangerous. You're not fighting them, you're fighting their past. And that's why nothing about their behavior makes sense on the surface. They act cold, but feel deeply. They pull away, but watch you quietly. They fear losing you, but fear getting close even more. They want to trust, but their nervous system remembers what happened last time they trusted someone. Behind every sudden distance is a person trying to protect a version of themselves that once got hurt too deeply. Behind every silence is a mind trying to calm a storm you can't see. Behind every mixed signal is a heart trying to love without falling apart. So before you blame yourself, before you assume you're the problem, before you think you weren't enough, remember this: their distance is not about your worth. It's about their wounds. Some people love quietly. Some love from far away. Some love in ways even they can't understand. And sometimes, the people who pull away the fastest are the ones who cared the most, because caring opens the door to the very pain they've spent years trying to escape. If someone pulls away from you, don't jump to conclusions. Don't assume they forgot. Don't assume they stopped feeling. Don't assume the story is over. Often it's just a pause, their heart catching its breath. And here's the final truth. Psychology never tells you. People don't distance themselves from the person they don't care about. They distance themselves from the person who matters too much. So if this touched you, if this answered a question you've carried for years, if this made something finally click in your mind, then stay. Because in part 2, we're going even deeper into the psychology of hidden emotions, attachment, and the silent battles people never talk about. Until then, take a breath, take your time, and take this with you. What pulls away isn't always leaving. Sometimes it's healing. If this story touched you, stay with us. Subscribe.